ready in the wind?
Let's go. Let's see what we got.
George says, let's go. That means it's time to go. It's time for the sports wrap with George Ringer. Happy middle of May, just about.
Hey, we're all
okay. It's only early May.
No. There's. It's springtime. It's in the air. There's no two ways about it. Although, I did watch the tail end of the Twins today. And
oh boy, that'll put you in a bad mood.
It was not a good mood, and and this 6-7 times,
0-7 in extra innings.
It's just, it's really pretty amazing to see the bad luck that comes rolling off of them sometimes. And Pineda was pitching really well. I'm not sure they're getting the kind of bullpen help that they need, and they certainly aren't swinging the bat the way it should be. And
So are you ready to flush them down the drain yet?
Oh no!
Oh no!
They got too much talent on that bunch.
They had a picture in the Star Tribune today of a fan holding up a sign at Target Field last night. Fire Rocco.
Fire Rocco.
Fire Rocco.
Yeah, that was only a matter of time.
Yeah, I understand the frustration. I get it. This team should be way better than they are performing at.
Yeah.
The bullpen gave up their 19th home run of the season so far today. The only team worse than that is the Detroit Tigers, and they've got the worst record in baseball. The Twins on Wednesday night, jeez, you load the bases with nobody out in the fourth inning and you don't score.
You can't score.
You strike out 15 times against a starter, he wasn't the only one, but a starter who was making, I believe, his major league debut, and the rest of the bullpen. You strike out 15 times.
That's a lot of strikeouts. That's only 12 guys that don't.
I'm worried. I'm starting to get a little whatever about this, because I'm not saying the Texas Rangers are a bad team, but we're so badly inconsistent.
Yes.
It's maddening right now, and I don't know if they're pressing the players. Pressuring themselves, or whatever. But Kirilloff was red hot, hitting the ball all over the place, and he sprains a wrist sliding into second base. So now he's done. They put him on the 10-day IL, but they're saying this could be like bad news type of injury, that this could be whatever.
They weren't real optimistic about it, no.
Buxton gets named Player of the Month for April. Everybody's like, okay, here we go. It's just.
He's got he's got pull hamstring or something. We've heard this story before. Maybe
we've heard this story before. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm hoping that we can stem the tide here, turn the tide, whatever the right word is. Not throw the baby out with the bathwater. How about some more cliches?
Oh, you're going to have your cliches down, but the fact of it is they're not meeting the ball, and the pitching outside the starters is really a little bit weak.
Yeah, it just, and I don't know. It just seems like they can't put all three phases together. They score 13 runs, but they got to give up 11 or 8 or 10. They score 4 and they got to give up 5. It just so.
Okay, I just want to bring up Kenta Miata's wears underneath his hat a Japanese samurai head wrap. You've seen them all the time. These are their kamikaze things. They wrap that around there. As it turns out, Hansel Robles is getting into it as well. And in fact, half the team is turning Japanese on us, and they're putting these headgears on. I just say, back. Once in a while, you have to remember these are young men that are trying to have fun. And I saw the Turtle today go into he had a nice day, and he's in the dugout. He's having a good time. And so you see this and see these young guys. I just wish they would win a couple of these extra inning games. If they won 2 of them, we'd say at least they could do it. But to lose this many in a row is tough.
Yeah, and I said I go back to earlier 3-4 shows ago, and we talked about them being more aggressive. You might remember me talking about there's a single, the center field, the left field, right, anywhere to the outfield. You got to try to score that guy. On Wednesday night, the winning run scores on a wild pitch.
On a wild
They
pitch.
lose 3-1,
Yeah.
and they lose on a wild pitch. Guess what happened today? Another wild pitch, a home run ball given up by Robles. It's just like, it's a little scary. So.
Well, it is, and then Sano at the tail end, he could have tied up the game, and the right fielder for Texas just pulled it out of his hair and wound up taking it away. You know, and
I turned the TV on just soon enough to see that.
Yeah.
So.
Enough to give you nose.
Kepler starts the game off with a home run.
Yeah.
Garver has hit his sixth. He seemed to come out of his funk. But they just can't seem to put it all together. I wrote down some notes from the other things going on in the MLB. Red Sox are red hot.
They are.
They've stayed red hot. But the scary part about the AL East, when I looked at the standings, I think it was after Tuesday's games. Red Sox are in first place. Baltimore's in last. There's only 3 games.
3 games apart. And then, so what did John Means do last night? Pitched a no-hitter. Did you see how he lost the perfect game?
I did not see it. I did not see video of it, but I read about it and heard about it.
I'm starting to wonder if that's maybe not a silly rule. It's just like, what does it really have anything to do with? And so I take a look at that and I think he had 27 guys that he had to put up. There were 27 O's at the end of the day, and I don't know what's not perfect about that, except the fact that
third strike got away.
That third strike got away. Yeah, it was frustrating. But anyway, I'll tell you what, it's nice to see the Oriole fans have a little something to cheer about. And
here's the stat that blew me away when I don't know where I read this last night. That is the first no-hitter by just one guy for Baltimore, not a combined, since Jim Palmer did it in 1969.
1969, yeah.
I'm like, what in the bajee? That's insane.
That's a long time ago, but you got.
They've had some great pitchers.
Oh, they had some great pitchers.
Wow.
Jim Palmer was certainly one of them, and it's in fact Earl Weaver, the manager of that great bunch in '69, it came up the other day and they were telling, he goes up to a kid on third base and they're down, and he take a look at the kids. There's 2 outs, there's 2 strikes, and he looked at the kid and he says, "Well, if you know how to cheat, do it now." And I always thought I could see Earl Weaver doing that because, him and Leo the Lip, DeRocher, and Casey Stengel and all the rest of these guys, they had the best lines in the world and the best attitudes for that matter. But
yeah, they don't make them that way anymore.
They don't make them that way. I'm sorry I had to toss that up, but it just popped up.
The other day the Nationals were leading the NL East with a 12-12 record.
Ooh.
What is that?
12-12.
That doesn't say much about the NL East.
No, it does not. No, that's pretty weak.
But here was the biggest surprise for me. We know how good the Dodgers are.
Yeah, we do.
We've heard ESPN put San Diego and the Dodgers and it's Southern California in the big battle.
Yeah.
Guess who's leading the NL West? The San Francisco Giants.
San Francisco Giants.
That one I had not, and I deem myself a sports guy, but I don't look at the standings every day. I don't look at the standings every day for the MLB, the NHL. I don't do it every day. So when I do it every couple of weeks, I go, wow, that's pretty interesting. And
suppose he's still a catcher on that team?
I don't believe that. I don't think so, but I don't know that for sure. Okay. It's a good question. I guess we'll have to do some research before next week.
On that. Yeah, I wouldn't thought about the Giants, although I'm in a situation to talk about the 49ers a little bit. But
yeah, well, we'll broach that subject.
Yeah.
So I'll ask the question: did you watch Wyatt over the weekend?
I did watch Wyatt over the weekend,
okay.
Right up to the point where Davidson kind of. Fell on top of them, but they got 5 runs and they wound up losing 15-5. But I saw him get up. He's a good-looking ball player. He's when you take a look at both sides of the bat and the field, he's probably the best baseball player in that team.
Had a tough week average-wise. He only went 2 for 9. But hey, those kinds of weeks.
Well, you got to walk on at the first. I mean, he's
the on-base percentages,
and so he's taking a look and saying, what's my job here is to get on base, and he's going with that. Now they play Dayton on 1:00 on Friday, And so I can
in
see
the middle of the workday, George, isn't it?
No, in fact, it is. But you know, it's one of those things where this ESPN Plus thing, I can see that this
is going to get more addictive. It's feeding the addiction.
There is so much stuff on there, and there's things that you really can't see anywhere else. And so you know, I've been using. Whatever it is, it's $7 a month. I've been getting my money's worth.
$7 worth.
Yeah. And I am looking forward to Friday. The Spiders. I never thought.
So does that mean that we should move to college football next?
We can go to college football.
So what did you learn last week in the FCS playoffs?
Well, I learned a couple of things. I learned that Jim Madison is a very good football team. I learned that Sam Houston's a very good football team. I heard that Delaware is a very good football team. And South Dakota State is going to have to fight and scrap, and the Jackrabbits are really going to have to kick to win this, but I think they can.
You know, I think that's true. I think they... You know, Southern Illinois, they had already seen each other. They made it a tough thing to do.
It is.
I think this week it'll be a little different story with Delaware for South Dakota State because Delaware hasn't seen them before. I think you just it makes a difference when you've played each other during the regular season. You know, here's the thing: North Dakota State lost last week. Of course, that's pretty big news. But I thought they were going to get thumped when they fell behind early 10-0. I thought. You know, blah, blah, blah. They're down 10-2, I think it was at half. And then, son of a gun, they came out in the third quarter.
Yeah.
And by gosh, they hung in there and actually took the lead. And Sam Houston had to score with, what, about 2.5 or 1 minute?
They right down to the end. They had a scrap for
it. To beat them 24-20. So
it was a great game. It really was a great game. And Otis Wea, I'm telling you, if I had to start a college backfield, and he's only a sophomore, he's coming back for a couple more years, and he's not the type of athlete I'm sure he might not run off and try to join the NFL because there are some physical limitations, but for him to be a D1 running back, he'll stand up with all of them. He averaged, you know, in this game, I don't think he averaged probably 3 or 4 yards, but a lot of those, he's averaging 6 yards a carry, and he is tough as nails. Now, the kid that I was really impressed with was Gronowski from South Dakota State, the quarterback. Throw 2 passes and picks up a 97-yard touchdown run, and I mean was walking away when he was running. This kid's got the spirit. He pulls his helmet off. He looks like he's 12 years old, but he's not. And you know, he's got a good wing, and he runs that team well.
You got to have somebody to do the things,
yes,
right?
You do. Yes.
Put an athlete there and see what happens.
They came back from a 13-point deficit to pull it out too. But that's that second half. Really, they come out strong. But hey, these kids are there working for a national championship, and they know it. And Mike Green from James Madison. He is when he gets rolling, he is almost unstoppable. They had him double teamed most of the team, and most of the time, as soon as they put him on one-on-one, he was all over the place, making himself an annoyance. And so he was pretty good at that. I enjoyed watching.
So from the way you talk, I assume you're taking South Dakota State over Delaware.
I am taking South Dakota State
over
Delaware. All right, so
then who are you taking between Sam Houston State and James Madison?
I'm going to go with the long shot, but I'm going to go with James Madison.
On the road in Texas.
That's right. Sam Houston's got a nice team, but North Dakota had him on the ropes, and it was probably the home court advantage that pulled them out. Anyway, but they're going back to Huntsville. That James Madison team seems to be on a bit of a mission, and they've been a bridesmaid for a long time now, and they want to go back and they want a piece of this action. So the coaching staff are pumped, and so I'll go with Madison on this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take Sam Houston just to make next week's show even that more interesting.
Well,
not that they aren't all interesting in the first place.
Well, they're going Saturday. I think at 11 and 2 in the afternoon, 11 o'clock in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. I'm going to miss the second one because I'm going to church. But that's another that's another story.
Well, that all makes sense.
Yeah.
There, if you thought there were other curveballs in this show, that might be the biggest of them all right there. So.
I'll say.
Are you going to a wedding or a funeral? Or both?
I'm going to a First Communion celebration.
Oh, there you go.
Yes, and if I don't go to that, I'm in a heap of trouble.
Because it's your grandson?
Yeah, he wouldn't like that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yes.
You want to stay? Is there anything else football that we need to talk about?
Yeah, we'll talk about the Gophers if you want.
Swear, I didn't watch any of it, but
I did, and I'll tell you what they did was they got Big Dan Falela, and they have him in the backfield. And he it's not so much that he blocks, he kind of blocks out. And, and so they had him there, and what they did is they passed him the ball, and he flipped it over to the tight end in the end of the end zone, and Big Dan got himself a touchdown pass. And the team, I was looking at it, PJ was going absolutely nuts. And I thought, whatever happens, these guys are having a good time. And Big Dan, well, I hate to even say this because he looks a little thin these days, but, they say he's holding about 400. He looks great with that football, and if they need a backup, I'm sure he'll suffice, except that Edisted had himself a very good game, and he is a very fine quarterback.
So you're saying we got two quarterbacks?
We have two quarterbacks.
Okay, Edisted
and
Tanner Morgan?
And Tanner Morgan. They both played well.
So let me ask, did you watch? Because I didn't watch.
Yes.
Were there as many trick plays?
Yes.
As from what I read about?
Fleck says I want 4 trick plays and you're to use them. And 4 or 5. But yeah, there were trick plays. So Falela was one.
So here's my problem with that.
Yeah.
Okay. I understand the Big Ten Network is there. I understand you're not going to whatever.
Yeah.
And I understand you want to have fun.
Yeah.
But aren't we supposed to be trying to get better? Should I expect Big Dan to be throwing the football against Ohio State on September 2nd?
No.
I would hope the heck not.
No, I just know as a coach you wouldn't have told anybody any trick, nothing. But that's and I would have too.
I feel like I'm getting mixed messages from PJ Fleck.
Are you saying they're not taking it serious?
You get 15 practices or you get 14 practices in the spring game, whichever the number is. To me, if you got big number 78 in the backfield throwing touchdown passes, that was, in my mind, a wasted opportunity to work on a play, to work on blocking. Okay, I'm all for I get it. It's a different animal. It's different than when we coached George. It's more about having fun, keeping the kids engaged, whatever it is. Fine. But to me, if we're going to go down there and scrimmage, I better be working on a play that I'm going to run during the regular season. And if Big Dan isn't going to throw the football in the regular season, then by God, he shouldn't be throwing it in the spring game.
Oh, yeah. On the other hand, I do think that they will use him as a power block in the backfield.
Okay, they're going to do that.
Yeah.
And let that don't let him beat up on his teammates. I get it. But anyway, that's the only complaint I had because from what I read about it, it sounded like all it was trick plays.
No, each team did a couple, but the game actually was fairly close. Ordinarily, you'd see the Maroon squash the Gold by 40 points. There was none of that stuff, and that's because there were 2 good quarterbacks. And also, there's a couple of good running backs that are playing as well.
Yeah,
and so
I think there's some talent there. I think they'll do all right.
Yeah.
We'll find out what they do against Ohio State the first game of the year because if you're going to surprise somebody, that's usually the week that you can get away with it with a lesser talented team because they don't know what you're going to do. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Well, and I'll tell you, Ohio State is they're going to be revamping. They don't have the same team as they had last year either.
But they just reload, George, don't they?
I understand, but a couple of the players have left the team, and the portal has affected Ohio State as well. And also when I was going through the draft list, there were a lot of Ohio State, a lot of Buckeyes got drafted.
A lot of Buckeyes got drafted. So did Alabama. They'll be right there at the end as well.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk anything about the NFL draft? You feel compelled that we should address?
We have to make mention.
We do? Okay.
Yes.
So what do you want to make mention of from the draft?
Well, let's see. I have the draft right here.
On a piece of paper.
Just pull this out. Okay, the Vikings had, as I recall here, 11 picks, or 11 picks.
Yep.
And I think they get an A for their choices, and I'll tell you why. Number one, what did they want first? an offensive tackle, and they got one. And I think Christian Darrisaw is going to be a good one.
I hope so.
He's got good size. He's very athletic, and I caught a couple of the highlight films that they have, and I'll tell you, if you're a defensive tackle and he comes down on you, you better have your socks pulled up, because he's going to give you everything you want. And then I noticed that they had Kene Wuhu, and he's a running back from Iowa State, but he is a zoomer, and so he will be picking up. He'll be picking the pup returns and all the rest of this. And
that was one thing that the Vikings had to address. They were horrendous, god awful in the special teams last year, and they had to do something to address those things, and they did it through the draft and free agency. You have to have a certain type of athlete on the field for special teams. It's just the way that it is, and you don't want your superstars out there, so you got to have some guys who are a little crazy. Like Thielen used to be on the special teams. Now he's making too much money to have on the special teams.
No, he can't do that no more.
But you got to have some. You got to have some speed. You got to have some guys that are a little touched up here a little bit to go down there and play special teams. So that was something they looked at, and I applaud them for it.
The big surprise of the evening was Kellen Mond. Now, he's the quarterback from Texas A&M. He's been down there for the last 4 years hanging out with Jimbo Fisher. In the last 3 years, he's been a starter, and Texas A&M has run into pretty good success down there with him. He's a good-sized kid. He played in the bowl game earlier this year, and I had a chance to see him, and I thought, Jesus, this kid's tough. But I was really kind of surprised the Vikings plucked him, and I can see why they would. It's just that it's been, and in fact, I don't know when was the last time they ever picked a quarterback in the first round. It's been a while. Yeah,
I got to be honest, higher than a couple years or 2 years ago they took what's his name from Iowa.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like we drafted a quarterback very high. So this was in the third round. It was I think a calculated risk. I'll take it. And we'll see what happens as the wind starts to pick up here, George. I hope we don't end up in Kansas.
No, we don't want to do that. No, he was 66 in the draft, and I was really kind of surprised he was still around. But I tell you, I was kind of surprised that Darrisaw was still around. And when they give up their 14th round,
lucky.
They
got lucky.
Somebody knew something, because they were going to pick him in the 14th round, and all of a sudden he gets picked 9 rounds later, and then they pick up two other drafts. I think they did real well with what they did.
They did very well.
Yeah.
Like I said, they got nervous. He admitted, Spielman admitted that they got nervous, tried to trade back up with Oakland, or Las Vegas, the Raiders, and they said no, that the offer was too cheap according to the owner, and that's fine. They got lucky. They got their guy, but yeah. I want to ask you about Trey Lance.
Well, I was just going to get to that. We got Zach Wilson, and he goes to the second. And I kind of made mention that San Francisco and John Lynch might like the kind of guy that Trey Lance is, and apparently they did. And I also brought up, I didn't think that Kyle Pitts was going to go in the 7th or 8th pick. I thought he was going to go earlier than that. And there it was, Lance 3rd and Pitts was 4th. And it's just like when you see this and you just think, hey, you've been spending a lot of time studying football. But I am not surprised that they got Lance.
I said this on our radio broadcast that we did on the night from Sammy's Pizza. I will continue to say it. I do not believe that Trey Lance is worthy of a 3rd overall pick. I hope I'm wrong. I don't mean to pop anybody's balloon. I don't want anybody whatevering me on this. I think he's a 10, 11, 15 guy. I don't think he's a 3 guy. Having said that, like I said, I hope the heck I'm wrong, but I think San Francisco reached a little bit here. I think taking Justin Fields or Mac Jones would have been a better choice, but that's my opinion. That's why we do these things.
Well, I think Justin Fields would have felt that better that way because he thought that he was disrespected, and I'm not sure about Mac Jones as well. But Lance was in the mix with those other two, and who's to say? I do know the history of first-round draft picks with quarterbacks is less than lightning.
Yeah.
And so it just doesn't
Mitchell
happen that
Trubisky,
often.
thank you very much.
No, I mean, when did Tom Brady? He was sixth round.
Sixth-round guy, yeah.
Sixth-round guy, and he's done well. So, one thing I did look at though, how few. Face it, running backs are devalued these days.
They are.
They were 15 teams chose a running back, 17 teams did not. And when you go through there, Najee Harris was the first-round draft pick, and people were putting him down. I thought he was still probably the best running back of the college bunch last year.
I cannot believe how badly they ripped Pittsburgh for drafting a running back. I was stunned.
Yeah.
When the Jags came back and drafted Etienne out of Clemson and to put their backfield back together, the ESPN people went berserk about what a poor decision it was.
Etienne's a very fine running back too, and they're going to surprise some people. The thing of it is they have split here, split there. If you're a running back, you can't catch the ball, you can't go to the slot. I'm not sure you can play in this league anymore, except Derrick Henry. He gets to play.
Yeah.
But it's a real weird situation, but I just, when I went through here, I started thinking there just was very few running backs chosen, and out of the whole, I don't know how many people there were chosen, but to have 15 running backs, that's not a lot.
That is not a lot. That's it's a different kind of ball game, right?
It's a different kind of
when
ball
wide
game.
Receivers are getting drafted 5th overall,
yes, you got to have quarterbacks, wide receivers, and left tackles.
That take care of business.
Take care of business. Okay.
Are you done with the draft?
Oh, we're done with the draft.
Yeah, it was good. It made me sad because the Vikings were supposed to draft at 14. I was supposed to be able to go to bed.
Yeah, you guys.
And I had to stay up till the 23rd pick. And they got done with the 23rd pick. I stood up, turned the TV off. I was in bed within about 3 minutes, and I was sleeping within 4.
Well, no, you guys called. You stopped the show after the 14th, and you were so mad that the Vikings traded their pick because you were having some. But you had a good show going, when Boley says, "Come on down, I'll buy you a beer," I was.
You
in
almost
my
were in the car.
I almost
in the car. Come on. So, where should we go next? There's places let's go wild.
Let's go wild.
Let's talk to wild.
I'm going to tell you something, Tim. Carrillo, the thrill, is really that. He is up for the Calder Trophy, and as they said in the paper today, there really isn't a second choice.
There shouldn't be.
He is just ripping them up. They were in, was that their 4th overtime game last night, and they've won 3 of them?
Yeah, 2 of them. Two, I think.
And Kaprizov won both of them. He tied them up. Last night he scored two goals in the 3rd period to tie it up. They're in a continuation of I don't know how many overtime games. But this kid, and on top of that, he seems to match up with the rest of the boys pretty well. And for a young man, he's doing really good.
Well, I thought it was interesting. I did not get to watch the game last night as there were other things going on in life. But the one thing that I got off the radio this morning was one of the ding-dongs from Vegas went after Carrillo and kind of cheap-shotted him.
He did. Guess what happened next?
Guess what? Here comes Marcus to put a little on his head.
And
don't touch my boy.
And did.
And don't touch my boy. And so I like that. He did it the right way. You went after. He told him, "Hey, here's what's the deal: is you do it to my boy, I'm gonna come take care of business." And
he did.
And he did.
Yeah. And I sat and I watched it, and I couldn't believe because it didn't take long either. And these boys are pretty big, especially when they're on 2 inches of skate. And they were really, really laying. There was. I don't ordinarily like fights in hockey. On the other hand, I really like Kirill Kaprizov, and so it didn't bother me a bit.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing about it. So, having said all that, I think that's the That's where it is. You know, the Wild, it would have been fun if they would have won last night in regulation, because that would have put them within 2 points of Vegas, would have tied them with Colorado at the time. I think Colorado ended up winning last night, if I remember correctly. But would have put them within 2 points of first place with 4 games to go. Now they're 5 points out, and it kind of gives you the sense, not that they couldn't, with a little luck, get and win the division. And not that they have to win the division, but that, you know, that kind of, you get that home ice and everything else, and it would have been fun to see what happens.
Do you feel the intensity of the game picking up just a little bit because
every game's a playoff game. They're already in playoff mode.
It really is, yes.
Yeah,
I agree.
They're already in
I'm telling you, I have not enjoyed professional hockey the way I have this year. So thank you, Kirill, for that, because he's fun to watch.
I don't know why Fiala didn't play last night. I didn't do enough investigating on there, but it makes a difference when he's on the ice.
Very much.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
And the Wild, for all the fun we're having, the recipe that they're doing of trying to play from behind and come back makes for great theater, but makes for a disaster in the win and loss column. And so they need to start playing better. So I don't know if they need to, you know, they got 2 games against Anaheim, who they should beat both times, but maybe they should just give Anaheim like a quasi 3 in the goal thing, so that every time they look up, we're like, oh, we're down 3, we got to get going here, guys. But they're really tied. So whatever they need to do, but they better stop that, because you do that in the playoffs.
And they got to come in there, and their goalies have to be hot, and they're going to have just more than Talbot too. So it's going to get tough. But boy, I'll tell you, this is the most talented Wild team I've ever seen. And if somebody can tell me which is more talented, I'd listen. But this goes back a long ways. This is a good team.
Yeah, a week left in the regular season. I would say the playoffs are pretty much almost set. Who's going to be in, who's not going to be in, and so it'll be fun. They haven't exactly said when the playoffs start, because they're waiting to make sure they can get all the games in due to COVID.
Yeah.
And they're waiting to make sure all that's going to play out, and then they'll make the announcements and whatever else. But it looks like to me like the Wild are going to get Colorado, and of the 2 teams that they could face, that might be the toughest one. But you got to go play them all.
You got to play them all.
So.
You do. Yeah.
Anything else? Oh, do you want to talk about Tom Wilson and his cheap shot on Pavel Nick Beck, whatever is?
Well, you know, and on top of that, I understand this isn't the first time he's pulled this stuff.
It's not the first time. It's about the 12th time he's pulled this crap.
Yeah.
For him to only get a $5,000 fine for what he did, and then somebody Kevin Fiala got suspended 3 games for his vicious hit. It was horrible. I agreed with it at the time. If he gets 3 games for what he did along the boards, and Tom Wilson only gets a $5,000 fine, there is something wrong with the goon who's running this hands out the punishment. And then for Gary Bettman to fine the Rangers $250,000 today, which is a pittance to a team, I get, but to fine them for complaining about what was going on just shows me that what the problem is with the NHL. It makes me sick. It makes me angry to think that a guy who's done this over and over and over again gets a $5,000 fine, and Kevin Fiala, who's never really done anything like that before, gets 3 games, like 5 games into the season. And I'm just like, what the? I want to use a bad word there. Here, Darcy, beat this out. It's awful. There's something wrong.
There's a lot of people upset about it, and they think the safety guy should really be taking a hike.
He should resign.
And I think
he should resign.
The pressure will be he should go.
He should go. He should be gone.
I agree.
So, anything else in the NHL?
No, I just know that the Wild are going up against the Ducks tomorrow night.
Friday night.
Friday
and Sunday,
Friday and Sunday. So we'll see.
That's the last 2 home games, and then 2 games in St. Louis on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then we'll know.
Okay.
Hey, did you watch your man Zion Williamson play the Wolves on Saturday night? I've been meaning to ask you.
I got bits and pieces, but Saturday was...
Saturday's a tough day. I gotcha.
On the other hand... the Timberwolves are not that bad a team. Again, they have to play a little bit of defense once in a while. They lost.
Which they didn't do last night. Dang it!
But Anthony got 42 points. So somebody's scoring, and these days in this professional basketball, you got to have somebody that can really put them up. And so if he can do anywhere near that consistently, but it's we just don't have many of those true shooters around. But I'll tell you, he's an awfully good basketball player, and he's young, so he's they're going to be fine. Williams, I'll tell you, he's really just an amazing athlete.
He's a beast.
I can't see anything that big getting up that high, and he does.
Well, he reminds me of Barkley a lot.
He does.
Just the way it is,
except that I'm not sure Barkley was that big, but he's really an amazing kid.
Yeah, the Wolves had won 4 in a row, and then lost 2 games by a total of 8 points. 1 in overtime to New Orleans, and they lost last night. And Anthony Edwards was named NBA Rookie of the Month for April, and it was well deserved. And the Wolves have got about a handful of games left, and they'll run the string out and hopefully start working on things for next fall. And let's hope they can turn this thing around, because A-Rod's going to be the new owner, and we're going to be on ESPN all the time.
All the time. Well, I just don't want A-Rod to take this team and get these guys rolling a little bit and win a few games, then yank them. That would be very upsetting,
folks. That's what's going to happen. Yep. As soon as they start winning, they're going to go. Hey, the Loons are 0-3. They look absolutely awful. After they made their run to the playoffs last year, I was expecting so much, and they've looked awful.
They do.
It's been very disappointing.
Yes.
That's all we have to say. Hey, I did write this. They got to start putting the ball in the back of the onion sack.
They've only got one
goal in 3 games. They got to put the ball in the back of the onion sack.
I didn't know about soccer cliches, but there you are. You got one right there.
So, how about go for softball this weekend?
Well,
a 4-game series with Michigan, probably going to decide the Big Ten regular season crown. All 4 games are on the Big Ten Network live.
All right.
So Friday afternoon, evening, doubleheader on Saturday. I think that starts at 11, and then Sunday. And I probably am going to get to watch 0 of those games, I got a feeling, because, life gets in the way, but
it does.
You do what you can.
Well, that's right, but there's an awful lot of good games, like I say. Hey, tomorrow I'm looking forward to watching Wyatt play. So this is a good time. There's so many good sports, and remember, bread and circuses. What can you say? you got to have them both.
Yeah, there you go. What do you got? I got a couple other things. Oh,
yeah, I got a couple of things. There's one of them right there.
There's one of them right there.
Well, first
coming out to check on us to make sure we haven't froze to death.
Yeah,
or blowing away in the wind.
First off, I want to wish a happy birthday
to
Willie Mays.
Hey,
Willie Mays, 90 years old today.
Wow.
And he's really an amazing guy. Started in 1948 with the Birmingham Black Barons. That's 72 years ago. I know this because
73 years ago, George.
I was born in 1948.
73 years ago.
Oh, I'm not 73 yet.
Yet.
They asked Willie, what are you the most proud of? And he says, I started with a 32-inch waist, and when I retired, I had a 32-inch waist. So he was mostly proud of all the things he did, but he was known for the catch, he was known for the hits. When you're a kid in the 50s and the 60s, you got to watch Willie play all the time, and you were absolutely never disappointed. And it's just for him to have the career that he had, and they're still very upset that the Giants left New York.
Mm-hmm.
When he went back to play with the Mets, they were overjoyed. They were entranced with him.
Those New Yorkers are spoiled.
They are.
Spoiled brats. Yeah. Okay, I said it.
And of course, I think he was there doing. I'm not sure Yogi wasn't managing the Mets at the same time. He is the oldest person in the Hall of Fame, and arguably he could be considered, from top to bottom, the best ball player ever. And I don't want to. I have to exclude Pepino on that, but he could field, he could hit for power, run. there was nothing he couldn't do on the ball field, and there was nothing that he didn't enjoy doing on the ball field. And say hey, Willie Mays, you are the say hey kid and always will be.
There you go.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Oh, well, I've got a couple of things. I want to bring up and introduce a young lady. Her name is Amy Bockerstadt. And Amy Bockerstadt became the first person with Down syndromes to get a college scholarship.
Wow.
And she, this weekend, is going to play in the National Junior College a golf tournament. And I watched her play the other day. She's just a little bitty thing, a little over 5 feet tall. And you know, I'm a special ed teacher. She is undoubtedly a Down syndrome child. But she's got I can't say that her drive is long, but she's got a great chip shot and a very nice putter. So I watched her play with a couple of, she's kind of a celebrity. Every time she goes up to a tricky shot, she says, I can do this. And so she started an organization. It's called I Can Do This. And this is a fundraiser for disabled kids to participate in sports. Something, I mean, for her to participate with her peer group is really quite remarkable, and it doesn't happen a whole lot,
sure.
Especially somebody with you know, that has the disability of Down syndrome. And it's I saw one look at this and researched her a little bit and absolutely fell in love. She's 22-year-old sophomore from Paradise Valley Community College in Phoenix, and she was the first person from Down syndrome to earn an athletic scholarship. She'll be attending a tournament on May 13th at Plantation Bay Club and Golf Club in Florida. She's if you got to have a hero, this
right
one
there.
will do. This
Good stuff, George.
Do.
See what a little research will do?
Little research.
Anything else? Hey, while you're deciding, the World Women's Curling Championships are going on.
They are.
And the United States is doing very, very well. They probably have if things went right today, they'll have assured themselves of making the Olympics, which of course is part of the deal of winning the World Championship is a big deal. But the TV broadcast crew got COVID.
Oh.
So they had to shut the tournament down for about a half a day, and they couldn't broadcast any matches, any games for like 3 or 4 days. So it was kind of a wild situation. So you got a world championship goes on, not the athletes getting it, the broadcast crew who's been basically secluded there for like weeks. Somehow somebody must have snuck out and got COVID or something.
Ugh.
And anyway, like I said, hopefully the United States will make the weekend and do well there. Did you watch the Kentucky Derby on Saturday?
I watched the Kentucky Derby, and I have to tell you,
Did you have your mint julep?
I had my mint julep,
Okay.
and I did another thing. I
did?
placed a bet
You did?
on Hot Rod Charlie. We had a crew together, and we put a pool together, and they said, did you plan this? Well, no, but I did come with a list of the horses. And so I says, pick any horse that you want, and I had some odds, but I says, I'd pick by the name, and I'm picking Hot Rod Charlie. So we had it first, second, or third, and if you pick first or second, you'd win. If you didn't, because there was 8 or 9 of us, there wasn't anybody for every horse. Number 3, come on, Charlie, come rolling in, and I won $40.
There you go.
That's 8-to-1 odds for what we had, and I thought that's about right. And so next year, the people that we were having a little party with decide that the women are all going to wear hats.
Okay.
And I have to make a massive amount of mint juleps.
And do you have to put a suit and tie on?
Well, I don't know.
Are you going to have to put a suit and tie on for this first communion?
I thought maybe I'd put on a jockey suit.
That would be
because,
fun.
you know,
Silks, little silks.
Put on silks, and then if I could find an enormous horse to carry me, hey, I'd be in.
You'd be in?
I'd be in.
That's what it takes.
No, it was a great Kentucky Derby, and we had a good time.
4 horses within a length of the in the finale, made for good fun. And Medina Spirit, I have not heard whether they're going to run them at Preakness or not. They were debating the other day, but the only 7-8 days away now, 9 days away. So we'll see what happens, whether they can keep the Triple Crown in place. What else have I got written down here before we go to the local? I got nothing else. Should I go local?
You can go local. I can wait.
So I don't forget, the Bronco Athletic Hall of Fame has decided that we are going forward with the induction ceremony on Saturday, August 14th. So I know many of you who watch this show or might be interested in that. The tickets that were sold 18 months ago, it feels like, about 16 months ago is probably more in actuality, will be honored. And so we're planning to limit the crowd to 225. Although with the announcement by Governor Walz today, I suppose we could try to go bigger than that. But 225 keeps them pretty comfortable, hopefully keeps everybody unnervous about getting together to do that. So the letters were sent out, the emails were sent out to all the people being inducted. We'll find out how many people there are that are going to attend, and then we'll make the rest of the tickets available to the public, and we'll go from there.
Oh, I know a bunch of old Broncos that are going to be in town about that time.
So it should be a good time.
It should be a good time.
I had one of the would-be or to-be inductees talk to me and said, it's time to do this. Right or wrong, people show up, people don't show up. It's time that we get this done because we've been waiting essentially 12 months to get in, and it'll be almost 16 months by the time we do it. So that's kind of the way we approached it as well. There was a long discussion, but anyway, August 14th, mark your calendars.
That's very good. That's very good news.
Bronco Bowling won their conference tournament championship last week. They did a seating kind of a qualifying meet at the start. The Broncos came in second, and then they took care of business like we knew they would.
Is our friend John the coach?
Is our friend John the coach?
Yeah.
Barry Miller and Ralph Rule are the coaches.
Okay.
John is not helping out with the anymore. And so they are off to the regionals, and if they do well at the regionals, they'll go to the state the following week. So congratulations to those kids. I had a chance to watch their home bowling meet here, it must be about a month ago now, and it was a lot of fun. Those kids can really bowl.
Well, on top of that, what you have here is a lifelong sport. And, most of these guys that are good in high school, they're going to continue bowling for a long time. So, I love lifelong sports. That's why I played basketball.
There you go. There you go. The International Falls softball team is 5-6. They beat Indus last Thursday, beat Little Fork on Friday. I don't know if you were listening on Monday, but the Broncos were down 8-0 to Ely, going into the bottom of the 5th inning. The Broncos, I think at that time, had like 3 hits. They ended up scoring 8 runs in the bottom of the 5th. Yeah, 2 more in the 6th and win 10-8. Lost to Evelyn Gilbert on Tuesday. They're busy today. They got Warwood on Thursday. They've got Proctor on Friday. I think they play 3 times next week. They've got lots of games. They're 5-6 right now. The Bronco baseball team's 1-5. Lost a 1-run game to Virginia. Lost a 1-run game to Mesabi East. 10-run MIB, and got shut out by Evelyn Gilbert over the last week. They're in War Road. They'll be in Proctor on Saturday. They've got busyness as well. The Bronco track and field teams have basically had the last week off. The girls won the meet that they were in last week. The boys came in second. They're in Chisholm today. Look out for the likes of Jack Maxwell, Summer Hezadal, Ryan Ford. There's just some.
Who's the shot putter? Who's the Broncos shot putter?
The shot putter for the boys is Cody Jansen. And then Emma Erickson is throwing shot and disc and playing softball so she's ultra busy. So good job there. It's too many to list. I mean, we could sit here and do 10 minutes just on track.
No, I read the results today. They were real promising. Yeah. They were good.
So they are in a meet at Chisholm today. The Bronco boys and girls golf teams have been in action. The Bronco girls really only have 2 varsity golfers, Kelby Anderson and Kira Asen. Kelby's been doing very, very well. She can't beat Maggie Lampa from Mesabi East, who's a very, very good golfer apparently, but Kelby's been coming in 2nd or 3rd, so congratulations to her. They had their home meet on Wednesday at the River Golf Course. The boys won by 21 shots over Hibbing, which was very, very good. And
that's always good to beat Hibbing, especially by 21 shots. That's a lot of shots.
That's a lot of shots. they've got 4 kids that have been scoring pretty regular. They've been the top 4. Nick Tanner, who's probably their #1 overall golfer, he's been on the top. He took 3rd individually yesterday. Noah Shakowski stepped up, shot an 82 yesterday, the 9th grader. Very good. Mitchell Nemec's right there, and Miles Mason. So you take those kids in there, and we'll see if they can make a run at the section meet, which is only a couple weeks away. So good stuff there. The Rainy River baseball team.
Yes, they are pretty good.
They played Vermilion this past weekend, 4 games. If you take the 3rd game out that they lost 11-1, let's just throw that one out, okay? In 3 games, they scored 45 runs and hit 16 home runs.
Whoa.
16 home runs.
Yeah, they had a list of the big dingers in there. There were lots of them.
There was it was a big week for them. They sit at 10-6 right now. Vermilion and Itasca are both 7-5 and play each other this weekend. So the Voyagers are hoping for a split because that'll give them the North Division title. If Vermilion wins 3 out of 4, it gets a little interesting. Itasca, same thing. So we'll see what happens. The Rainy River softball team is North Division champs. They're 13-1 in the division right now with 2 games remaining, but they've locked it up. They will host the Region 13B tournament May 20th and 21st. So it'll be fun to get out there and hopefully watch a few of those games. And congratulations to the ladies out there. I had a chance to go out and watch them for a little while last night. It was the first time I was able to fit it into the schedule to get out and watch. George, they can hit the softball.
Dinger, huh?
They really can knock it around. They've got a girl, I don't know where she's from, Madison Leto was her name. She had, in the 2 games last night, I believe she ended up 6 for 7 or 7 for 8, and she had 11 RBI in the 2 games.
Ooh.
And hit 2 home runs, scored 7 runs.
11 RBIs, that's not bad.
That's not too shabby.
No, you take that.
So there's some good stuff going on out there with the local teams. Get out there and enjoy it. If you live in the Falls, get out there and support them. And maybe the #1 thing is, if you're young, and I know probably a lot of the people who watch the show aren't young, but if you know somebody who's young and loves sports, they're looking for umpires and officials in the worst way. It's only going to get worse. Every official that I see come to a game is in his 50s or 60s, and there's going to be a real crisis someday soon. There's good money to be made. Yeah, people will bark at you a little bit, but you gotta have
the official.
You gotta have the officials, and
Indeed,
so
you do.
There's my plea for the week, folks. What have you been listening to?
Actually, we've the other night we did the Mavericks in Spanish in Espanol, and we listened to Ruben Blades. This is for Cinco de Mayo.
Yes.
And we went down to the Baja's wagon that's over downtown, and we had burritos and tacos, and I had a tequila too.
Oh, shocking!
And so it was
shocking.
And we listened to Mexican music, and I said, it's amazing to watch these. When you're listening to Spanish music, that it's a love song, because they all sound that same way, and it's just like it goes on. And I thought, when they talk about Latin lovers, they're not messing around. I try to do that with the Norwegian German. It doesn't have the same effect. It doesn't work so well? No, it doesn't have the same effect. But Cinco de Mayo last night, and we've been actually listening to music pretty much every night of some sort. It's
that's good. I'm glad to hear you guys are.
Jeff Beck. Jeff Beck's been coming back into my life. That's when that happens, I think this guy's really weird, and I really like it. So yeah, there's music to be had, lots of it.
Are we good?
I have nothing else to say.
Get out. Hey, the fishing opener is only like 9 days away. If you're into that, get ready. Get your boat ready. Yeah. It's time to get the pontoon boat in the water, I think.
Yes.
It's getting close. Thanks, everybody.
See ya.